Gun control by executive order. Cannon speaks. Coming up next.
No threat to our Hotep, especially when the Hotep got the goddess. Mask off, he's working his ass off, trying to tell y'all goofy dudes what they planning. It's Hotep, Hotep, hope you motherfuckers understand. It's Hotep, Hotep, hope you motherfuckers understand. No threat to our Hotep, especially when the Hotep got the goddess. Mask off, he's working his ass off, trying to tell y'all goofy dudes what they planning. It's Hotep, Hotep, hope you motherfuckers understand. It's Hotep, Hotep, hope you motherfuckers understand.
What up, what up, what up, everybody? Happy Friday. Cannon Hotep back at it again with another one. We got a special guest tonight. I'm going to bring him in a second. But first, if you're new, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification icon to let you know when I got new content coming out. Hit that like, hit that share button. Let people know we live. Help me beat this algorithm because YouTube is whooping my ass and they ain't trying to let my, opinions and views and my message get out there. So just hit that like, hit that share button. It's all free, people. Don't be takers now. So we got a good one for you today. So old Joe Nicholslick earlier this week, before all the happenings in New York, tried to make some executive decisions regarding the Second Amendment and what I like to call power in the 80s, but what the left like to call quote unquote ghost guns. So I'm gonna bring in our guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today my man, my mellow.
What's going on, Cannon? Good to see you again, brother. I'm always
mindset.
happy to be on your show, man. I'm always happy to be on your show. I have so much fun talking to you. I think, because there's so few people that, know what they're talking about in regards to guns. A lot of people talk shit and they don't know anything. They don't own guns. They don't know guns. They don't shoot guns. And that's a segment of people. And then there's people that I don't like because I just don't like them for one reason or another, So
Right.
you're in that segment of people who know what they're talking about that I actually like. I don't come on someone's podcast if I don't like them. So
Hey, I appreciate
appreciate talking with you about it.
I wear that like a badge of honor. I'll tell you that much. Man, but we got a hot one for you. So
And let me start out right now by saying this, because you let it in on ghost guns, but I don't know if you know this, but the executive order, what he issued, was not limited to ghost guns. He went further than that, and there's more he put in that than just ghost guns. So we've been the media, everybody has been focusing on ghost guns, but there's something he put in there that I'm gonna tell you right now may be more dangerous than ghost guns.
Ooh.
For your Second Amendment rights. So you thought this was going to be one level of spicy. We're going to kick it. We're going to emerald this shit. It's going to go up to 200 on this.
I hear that.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you're new, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification icon. It lets you know when I got new content coming out. I really appreciate it, people. So, so let me tell you this story today, right? This goes to what you're saying about people not knowing anything about guns for the most part, right? So my dad calls me. I'm out on the road. I'm working. I'm going headed to the dump to get rid of some pallets and some other stuff, right? My dad calls me because he's having a conversation with a police officer here in Baltimore, right? So my father, he doesn't, I conceal my gun, right? I conceal my gun. So my dad doesn't necessarily really conceal. If it's out, it's out. If it ain't, it ain't. You know what I mean? So he calls me and goes, hey, I got a police officer here, and he's telling me that I don't have a gun permit. I'm like, what are you talking about? Did you show him your license? Yeah, but he's saying because it says gun permit, that's not a wear and carry. I was like, what? He's like, and he's saying that I can't open carry it. So I said, that's a lie. Like the state, we have a license from the state troopers. Maryland is no longer concealed carry state. It's called wear and carry. So I don't have to conceal if I don't want to. So the officer, he seemed kind of cocky. Oh, let me talk to your son. Let me talk to your son. So I had to school this cop, right? So I go, he goes, so what are you saying? I said, we have wear and carry permits from the state police. That's who issue the wear and carry permits. Here in Maryland, it's not the courts or anything like that. It's the actual police officers. Right. He goes, well, it says gun permit on it. I said, yeah, that's what they all say. They don't say concealed carry permit anymore because we no longer have to conceal carry anymore. It just says gun permit. I said, if you look at the bottom, it tells you it's a carry permit. Well, when did it become well, you no longer have to conceal it? I said 2017, according to the state troopers. Right? I said when I went into my interview with the state trooper from when in order to get my permit, the lady said, yeah, you no longer have to conceal carry here in Maryland. You can open carry if you would like. I was like, okay, well. So I'm like, so my dad says after he gets off the phone with me, and I also send the statute in the law, from the state police.
Right.
So my dad can show him. So my dad gets off. He looks at the cop. He says, why don't you know this? He said,
they don't teach him that shit.
Right? He said,
they don't teach him it.
He said, it's your job to know this.
Yeah.
He's like, how many people have you hemmed up over something like this that you don't know is supposed to have this? See, he thought the gun permit was just a license to purchase a gun. But here in Maryland, we call it an HQL. So you need two licenses. You need a license to purchase a firearm, and you need a license to carry it. So I'm just like, man.
That's some bullshit. Yeah. That's some bullshit. The license to purchase is some real bullshit. Some real unconstitutional bullshit.
It's just a money grab by the state.
I know. But that's to me, that gets me fired up. Yeah. I mean, and the one good news is, I'll say, we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that's depressing. So maybe it's good to start with something good, is that most states are moving in a trend, or at least the majority of states are moving in a more pro 2A stance than anti. The fact that already, I think, 23 states have adopted permitless carry, which is, concealed carry and or open carry without any license. So Georgia just adopted that. Many other states are thinking about it. I know Florida has a bill in the House. Florida, so many people have concealed carry in Florida that I think the House may not have too much motivation, because Florida has one of the highest concealed carry rates in the nation. But yeah, I think the only southern states that don't have it are Louisiana and Florida, but almost every other state in the South has it. Ohio, Alaska, many other states. So that's been a great win for the Constitution. Yeah, it is. Because you can now drive almost across the country with permitless carry, and you're good, which is a huge win, which is a giant win. But what you're seeing is the other half of the country, which we're seeing with many other laws, everything else, the polarization. Mm-hmm. So you see, okay, we're going in a more pro 2A direction in Texas and Georgia and all these other states, versus in New York, New Jersey, California. They're going as hard as they can against the 2A. And one of those things is, part of that was, things that can be 3D printed are scary. So now, we can 3D print guns. We got to stop that. So that's the so-called ghost guns regulation. Right. And then the other regulation, which I'm talking about, which I have always talked about, I talked about it before with you, I've talked about it again, but now they literally want Congress to pass a national law, and they've instructed, so Biden told Congress to pass a national law, but he said, even if they don't pass it, I'm going to tell the Justice Department to create a rule on a national level, what's called a red flag law. Cannon, do you know about red flag laws?
Yes, I do. We lost a life here in Maryland due to it.
Yep. So red flag laws, let me just explain to you guys. So red flag laws are when your family, your friends, and law enforcement, very importantly, law enforcement can do this. Law enforcement can determine that you are a threat to yourself and others. That's the only standard, is that they determine with a judge. They can do it ex parte in many cases, which is without your presence. So you don't even need to be there. They go to a judge and they say, this guy's dangerous. You don't even get a chance to defend yourself, which, by the way, I know, to me, that's a violation of due process, right? You should have the right to defend yourself, the right to speak for yourself, the right to hire an attorney, the right to notice. That's all procedural due process and substantive due process violations. But that aside, they go get that, and then they can take all your guns. And by the way, there's no expiration date. these orders can be indefinite.
Right.
So they never have to go and overturn that red flag law. They never have to say, help, that ruling gets overturned in a year and a day. They can say, no, we just made the determination and that's it. This is the most egregious attack on the Second Amendment. It's a way to get rid of guns without getting rid of guns, without repealing the 2A. It's the worst thing and nobody's covering it. That's the crazy thing. I haven't seen a single news outlet covering it. They're covering the ghost guns part, right? So they're covering the flashy part, 3D printing, it's sexy, it's new, but they're not covering the red flag laws because they're not new. Some states have already passed them. The problem is, if this gets on a federal level, we're in big trouble. It doesn't matter how many wins we get for the 2A and other court cases. If these red flag laws are passed, every single person in the United States can have the gun stripped from them.
Right, on some Minority Report shit. You know what I mean? That's one thing I did not agree with old Donnie T is when he said, take the guns and then do process later. When he was in the meeting when they were talking about the red flag laws. Let's take it to the chat real quick. Let's see what you guys talking about over here. Chris Rowland, Andrew fan club raid. Danielle Andrew raid.
That's good shit. I told him I was going on your show. I was like, shout out. I was like, I'm going to Cannon on show. So I appreciate it. Shout out to my OGs, Chris, my Danielle. Love you guys. You guys are great. And I appreciate my supporters, my community. And, I've always been a big fan of the Hotep community. I mean, I love speaking with you. I love speaking with Brian, Hotep Jesus. I got to get Uncle Hotep on at some point because he's fucking hilarious. But, really a great network of people, a great group of people. And I'm so glad to be able to come in and talk.
I appreciate it. Brandon O'Neill, sup Cannon, sup Andy, nice bathroom.
Fuck you, but okay, yeah.
Chris Rowland, the woke crowd should be against all gun laws because they deny the rights of minorities and majority to be secured in their person. Facts.
Yep. Think about it this way. Like they want to protect LGBTQA++. They're like, oh, they're going to be targeted by these hate crimes. I got a solution. If there was a movement, Queer Guns Matter, I'm okay with that. Give them all guns. I'm okay with that. Support. Create a fund where everyone gives donations and all LGBTQA++ people get strapped. I'm okay with that because guess what? There's no excuse after that to why he should be a victim of a hate crime. Now you've got a weapon. I mean, that's the great equalizer. Right. I don't care if you're a fucking twink. If you know how to shoot a gun. Right. It doesn't matter your body size. That's why guns were the great equalizer in war. You no longer had to have an elite physically, peak physical fitness, Spartan level fitness military force. You could have a military force of relatively scrawny or lanky or small people, but they have guns and there you go. In fact, me, like a big dude, I'd be a horrible infantryman. My profile is too huge, I mean, it just is what it is, Yeah. It's not great. I think it's a great equalizer. I think if they really want to support minorities, the same thing with like the Black Guns Matter movement. I think that's great.
Yeah. Shout out to Mars.
Get everybody armed. Yeah. Get everybody armed. That's great. I think that's that's a great movement. That's a great way to actually enforce the rights of minorities, not this virtue signaling, not this bullshit that they're doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with you. You know what I mean?
Because by the way, Biden Harris put that right now in their plan that they put quite the opposite in their executive statement, saying that the impacts are disproportionately on LGBTQA++, minority communities, et cetera, et cetera. They throw that into everything. Yeah. Right. Like they put that little flavor into everything. They're like, oh, by the way, this is racist too.
Right.
By the way, this is sexist. This is misogynist. Guns are misogynist.
Right, exactly.
It's like, come on, man.
Right, we're definitely going to get to that White House fact sheet that they sent out just before the press conference.
Yeah, I had that pulled up, so I was hoping that can you pull that up? Did you got that?
Yep, get ready to jump up on there now. Give me one second.
Yeah, that's the best thing to pull up is the fact sheet because we can just knock that out real quick and get through it.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. I got it now.
All right, cool.
I see it.
All right, cool. So let me go ahead and do this. There we go. All right. So, from the White House, fact sheet. The Biden administration cracks down on ghost guns, ensures that ATF has the leadership it needs to enforce our gun laws. Today, which would have been April 11th, President Biden and Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco will deliver remarks in the Rose Garden to announce additional steps the administration is taking to combat crime. All right. So this comes on the heels of the Sacramento shooting that they had out there, and it happened less than 24 hours before the events in New York. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing they start talking about is their new, leader for the ATF, which some reason old Joe Nicholslick can't stop calling the AFT. he did it in the press
Man,
conference.
come on, you know how senile he is. Come on, man. Come on.
He was seeing dead relatives yesterday when he tried to shake their hands or whatever the hell he was trying to shake their hands with. It must have been the devil sitting right there next to him.
Yeah.
But anyway, ensuring that ATF has the leadership it needs to enforce our common sense gun laws and fighting crime. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm, and Explosives is our top federal law enforcement agency responsible for enforcing our common sense gun laws. Today, the president is nominating Steve Dettelbach to serve as director of the ATF. Now, I had to do a little research on this guy, Steve. So apparently, Steve was one of the Obama era cronies. He came in when Obama first got in office. He stuck around, and then he resigned when Obama left office.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he was the reason why he was, on Obama's cabinet is because he went to college with Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I find it odd that Obama was at the White House, and then that next week, this guy Steve Dettelbach was given the nod to head up the ATF. I think that's
weird, right?
Pretty interesting to me. Just saying.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip past this guy. Just know that because they couldn't get what was the guy named Chipman? They couldn't get the guy Chipman in, which that guy was just he just glowed all the way in the dark. He was actually donating to anti-gun organizations like Moms Demand Action and Every Town for Gun whatever. He was actually donating. So once the Republicans found out, that's when we can't have that, because they knew what time it was at the time, and they got him out of the paint. And a lot of people, including in those organizations, was mad at Biden for not sticking up for him. But I mean, the writing was on the wall, the jig was up. You know what I mean? Got to go back to the drawing board. So, just know that this guy is willing to get whatever he needs to get done for the president. So,
yeah, he's the hired gun.
The hired gun is exactly what he is. So here we go. First thing on the docket.
I love that statement, man. This is such a bullshit statement. Go ahead. It fires me up like reading it. Like I'm like, motherfucker. Like I can't read that and not get angry. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Cracking down on ghost guns, the weapon of choice for many violent criminals. Let me tell y'all something.
Go tell him.
Like I said in my other stream, the weapon of choice for violent criminals is any fucking weapon they can get their hands on.
Any weapon, like anything. You know what I'm saying? Like they get a sharp butter knife and they're gonna stab you. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like how many people are robbed on the street with like just a switchblade or like a regular knife? Like, that's enough to be a weapon. So is a car. We saw that in Waukesha, right? Right. Are we regulating fucking SUVs because they're too big? They can cause like parade massacres. Like, what are we doing right here? You know? Exactly. Like, this is ridiculous. You know. And essentially, what they're trying to do, and you'll see this with the separate regulations, is if one single person uses it in a shooting, it's all of a sudden the weapon of choice. It's all of a sudden something that's linked to. It's all of a sudden something that's correlated with. So they're going to try to, with anything they see in a shooting scenario, they're going to try to say this in particular by banning this, and it'll be the death by 1,000 cuts. It's the stabilizing brace. Yes. It's the ghost gun. It's the ghost gun, the 3D printed gun. It's
the bump stock. Right? It's the binary trigger. It's going to be
stock.
something.
Remember that? The bump stock.
Right.
All we got to do is ban the bump stock. No. That's not. You're literally missing the point here.
I like this Danielle character. Do they mean normal guns? They have their serial numbers filed off.
Yeah, Danielle's a good one. It's right though. It's true. It's
right.
Like,
but
yeah.
So today, the president and deputy attorney general also announced that the U.S. Department of Justice has issued a final rule. Like, they can't issue a fucking final rule. That's the funny part, how they word this shit.
That's ridiculous. Like a final rule without notice and comment, like that. Like, no, you can't do that.
Right. Not to mention that a lot of this shit got to go through Congress in the first fucking place.
Right. We shouldn't be able to do that. Right. This should be beyond the scope of their authority. It'll be challenged. They'll say, yeah, that's got to go through Congress. Fuck you.
Right.
And boom.
But the thing is until they get, goes to court and they get sued over it, they'll just have it in place.
Right, which is the problem. Where now with this administration, you have to literally sue them over everything, which is costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, in legal fees.
Right. So the U.S. Department of Justice issued a final rule to rein in the proliferation of ghost guns, unserialized, privately made firearms that law enforcement are increasingly recovering at crime scenes in cities across the country. Last year alone, there were approximately 20,000 suspected ghost guns reported to the ATF as having.
I like that. Hold on, that word there. You caught that word, suspected. Like, they didn't even fucking know. They're just like, yeah, we think.
Right.
We suspect.
Now, the funny part is that goes to Danielle's point, is that are they counting fucking guns with the serial number filed off?
Maybe they are. I think they are. If you're standard, read that definition. Mm-hmm. Unserialized. If that's it. Right. If
that's your standard, yeah. If that's your standard, unserialized guns being ghost guns, then yes, they are definitely counting in that 20,000 approximate suspected guns reported. Is no doubt in my mind they're counting guns with the serial number filed off.
I'd be surprised if you needed more than 10 fingers to count the number of 3D printed guns that were confiscated last year. I would be shocked.
Who you telling? I would definitely be shocked. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So last year alone, there were approximately 20,000 suspected ghost guns reported to the ATF as having been recovered by law enforcement in criminal investigations, a tenfold increase from 2016. I don't even think fucking polymer 80s were even around in 2016. If they were, nobody really knew about them. Because ghost guns lack the serial numbers marked on other firearms, law enforcement has an exceedingly difficult time tracking a ghost gun found at a crime scene back to the individual purchaser. How many guns are you really finding at a crime scene? That's another question, guys.
That's a good question that they're not fucking asking.
Right. How many? Because guns ain't cheap. You know what I mean? Like, people just this ain't fucking replacement killers. Like, you can't just sit there and just drop guns and keep it moving. You know what I mean? And I said this on my stream one time before. I was like, that whole serialized gun thing is bullshit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All they can do, right, is they can tell you based on the rifling that's found on the gun. I mean, on the bullet, what type of gun it may have come from. They can't say, oh, this came from gun serial number, blah, 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 blah. It can just say, it came from a Glock. It's got polygonal rifling on the bullet. This came from a Glock barrel. That's all they can tell.
Which, okay, that's better than no information, but it doesn't give you that much information. You still have to make the logical leap. That's why you still got to go to court. You still got to put on evidence. You got to say, okay, it was this Glock because of X. Mm-hmm. Right?
It was this Glock because we saw in this fucking video footage that this person had a fucking Glock that shot him. And it's consistent with what we found at the guy's house or whatever.
And it was near the crime scene. They ditched it, or they ditched it at the house, or they do it, give it with a friend or their parents or whatever. That's how you do it. You do real police work. This is not gonna get them off the hook or make it easier or harder to do real police work. They're still gonna have to fucking do that.
Right. Like, for example, guys, I guarantee if they took let's say my beautiful Glock 17 or my Glock 19 up there on my wall, they took one of those.
Don't jinx it.
And then they took that and compared it to a shot from, I don't care, a police officer's Glock 17. Guess what? They have a hard time determining what bullet came from what gun. All they can tell is that it came from the Glock. They don't know. They couldn't say if it came from my gun or the cop's gun. The only way they can do that is the only way they would be able to tell with a cop is because they have bonded bullets. But if you gave us like some store-bought shit, they couldn't tell you the difference. That's how you know that the serialized shit is bullshit. They just want a registry. That's all they want is a registry.
Not like a criminal. It's not like a criminal shoots with a special type of bullet. Like I got the criminal bullet. You know,
Right.
it's not. They're using store-bought or whatever ammo they've got on hand.
Store-bought ammo. And that, remember in California they wanted the fucking micro stamp on the firing pin. So when when somebody shot the gun, the firing pin would leave a fucking mini serial number on the fucking casing. That's another way you know that this whole serial number bullshit is bullshit. They can't track you just based off of the serial number. You would literally have to leave your gun at the crime scene for them to even remotely be able to find out who you are.
That's insane.
And that's if you didn't steal the gun.
Right.
That's if you didn't steal the gun. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. A stolen gun or a gun that's been brought in across the border, which we're wide open right now. As we often talk about.
Yeah. Remember Fast and the Furious, and I ain't talking about Vin Diesel.
Yep.
This final rule bans the business of manufacturing the most accessible ghost guns, such as unserialized buy, build, shoot kits that individuals can buy online or at a store without a background check, and can readily be assembled into a working firearm in as little as 30 minutes with equipment they have at home. So check this out, right? So what a buy, build, shoot kit is that Polymer 80 put in essentially with, this is from my SIG P320, right? So this isn't a Polymer 80, guys.
So you've done it. So you have had a Polymer 80 kit.
So I will not confirm or deny that I might
not confirm or deny
that I have Polymer.
Hold on. Let me put it this way. You know what they are.
I know what they are. So
yes, that's now, like, not to confirm or deny having, but like know what they are.
I've seen a couple of Polymer 80 kits. I'll put it like that.
I got you.
Now this isn't a Polymer 80 kit. This is for my SIG P320. So the SIG P320, the firing mechanism is the actual trigger assembly. That's what's registered as the action for a SIG. So this is technically just a grip. So I could take the firing mechanism out of my SIG and put it into any fucking SIG grip. So I can change my grip, my magazine size. So like for example, this is the standard grip that it came with, 10 round magazine. I put an X carry grip on my SIG and I have 15 rounds now, right? Versus 10. Now, let's just say this was a Polymer 80. A Polymer 80 is exactly what it sounds like. 80 means it's 80% finished. You have to do the rest of the fucking work. So you literally have to mill out the center. You got to mill out the trigger weld. You got to mill out the fucking the pins that hold all of the rails and the lugs and all that other shit. You got to complete the firearm, right? So what Polymer 80 was doing was putting the 80% finished frame in with a jig, and they were giving you the slide, not the barrel, not the trigger mechanism, not the spring, none of that shit. They just gave you a slide. They gave you this, and you had to finish all that shit, and you had to find your own barrel, you had to find your own trigger and all that other shit, right? So that's why they called it a buy, build, shoot kit, right? So you had to source all the rest of the parts yourself, right? Now, according to the ATF rules, a Polymer 80 is not a fucking gun. That's why they were legal in the first place. That's why you could buy them online, because it's not a complete firearm. Honestly, if we want to be real, Polymer 80s aren't, even if you got a strip receiver for like an AR, that's still not a complete fucking firearm, honestly. You know what I mean? If you want to build a fucking 1911 or a 2011, that's not a complete firearm. You know, even if this shit was already milled out, and it's still not a complete firearm until I put all the parts together to make it a complete working firearm. And I can pull the trigger and go bang. All right? So, Polymer 80s, you gotta finish them. According to the ATF, you can have it because it's not a fucking complete firearm. Also, according to the ATF rules and standards, you can have a Polymer 80 and complete the Polymer 80 and not have it serialized as long as you don't plan to fucking sell it. If you plan to sell it, then you have to put a serial number on it and register it with your state before you can sell it. That's the rules of the ATF as they stand right now. And Joe Nicholslick wants to come in and he wants to change that now to where as though it doesn't fucking matter. These are firearms. They want to register under the National Firearms Act. Now you got gun stores now that won't sell Polymer 80s anymore. unless they have serial numbers on them. So now Polymer 80 has been producing Polymer 80s with serial numbers on them to be in compliance. So you can no longer go and buy.
So they've already. So here's the thing: the stores are preempting this. So, and this is a good example because it happens in a lot of different industries where they'll be like, "Oh, this is where we're going, so we're going to get ahead of this," and we're going to say, "Oh, we're already compliant." Because here's the thing: stores and companies, they want to make money,
right?
And if they see something coming, they're going to try to be like, "All right, how can we continue to make money uninterrupted, and not have to go back and mitigate, not have to go back and pay to redo this, not have to go and like, try to retroactively do anything or have some civil liabilities, some other shit." So they knew this was coming and they already bent the knee. So in a certain way, it's in a weird way, the rule almost like this part of the rule almost is, it's a change of the law. It's de jure a change, but de facto, it may not be much of a change in terms of what the companies are already doing, what they've already bent the knee to.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. You're exactly right. But and plus they don't want to get fucking hemmed up. For the most part, they know they're gonna. There's a chance they could be audited.
Yes,
you know what I mean, and that's what they're really afraid of. They're really afraid of it, and I don't blame them. I was in my local gun store. What did I just buy? I bought a little 22. I bought a Ruger Mark IV 22, and I was in there and I seen a couple of Polymer 80s in the display case, and I'm like, "Oh man, what y'all got? Y'all got more 17s?" He's like, "Yeah." He was like, "But they're serialized." I was like, "Really?" I said, "I didn't know these." He said, "Yeah, man." He said, "This shit coming." He's like, "I think they're supposed to do it in June." I think it was what we last heard. He was like, "We're just trying to get ahead of it. We're just trying to get ahead of it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? I really don't blame them.
They got to make money. They got to make money. I mean, they got to stay alive. Their businesses got to stay alive. That's why all the businesses, bent the knee, because at the end of the day, they got to eat. They got to feed their families, and I understand that. But it's at the risk of our rights. If we don't fight these things, I mean, it's going to be a big problem, And also, we got an election coming up in November.
Right. Right, exactly.
Motherfuckers better be voting. You better be voting. You better be voting against this shit because Congress can stop all this.
Exactly.
Congress can put a stop to all of this if they want to.
They definitely can. So check it, right? The rule clarified that these kits qualify as firearms under the Gun Control Act, right? And that commercial manufacturers of such kits must therefore become licensed and include serial numbers on the kits. Frames or receivers and commercial sellers of these kits must become federally licensed and run background checks prior to a sale, just like they have to do with other commercially made firearms. Which is crazy. So like here in Maryland, right?
It's insane. Yeah.
Here in Maryland, when I go buy a gun, right, a handgun, I got to go in with my HQL and show them that. Then I got to put in pick up my gun. I got to put in an application with the state police. I then have to wait 8 days to pick up my gun. Right? That's what they want. They, versus like if I wanted to make one of these at home. I could just go and pay my, my cash for it or whatever, and go home, and I can mail some shit out. I can get online, look on eBay, or
which is what you should be able to do. Right. I mean, to my point, I think this is this level of slowdown is infringement on your Second Amendment rights. I mean, if you have a threat, if you have a personal threat to you and you need something immediately, right? Because that's when most people go and do something, right? They do something when they need it now. When they need it like to defend themselves now, right? Let's say you've got somebody who's threatening you, who's making death threats against you. You want it now. You don't want it in a week. You don't want it in 8 days. You don't want it in 2 weeks. You want it now.
Right.
And the ability to go out and say, look, I need this thing. I'm going to go out and mill this today because I need it now to defend myself for whatever reason. That's what it should be, in my opinion. So.
Right. Chris Rowland, Home Depot and Lowe's should be charged with ghost gun violations. They sell pipes and supplies used to make a gun. That's true. You can make a fucking shotgun out of fucking pipe.
Yeah.
I've seen people do it.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I seen a guy turn one in. I seen a guy turn one in for like when they do the gun buybacks, turning a fucking pipe gun. You know what I mean? Danielle, the bump stock ban came from 2017 Las Vegas shooting, which was shady as hell. Yeah,
yes.
We all know that. Kufi on tight, Danielle.
Yeah, that one was real shady because that guy's ties were looking pretty glowy too. Yeah. Like he was not.
I could go all day on that shit. I was fucking.
Yeah.
At my.
That's another one. We can do that another day, man. That's another. That
might be made for Rumble. I don't know. Keep that.
Yeah, man.
That might be a Rumble conversation.
That's some Alex Jones shit. Yeah. I like it though.
Chuck M, welcome. Highest estimate I could find was 90 total ghost gun shootings since 2013. I'm sure that's just all you really gonna find.
Total. And like that's like pushing it probably. Like that's like pushing the definition of what a ghost gun is.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So let's get back to it. Let's see where did I leave off at?
The final rule gets what's in circulation, so they're going to try to take what's in circulation.
Yes.
They're going to try to see what's saying right here. It forces them to scroll down.
Okay.
It says right there, requires federally licensed dealers and gunsmiths taking any unserialized fire alarms into inventory to serialize them. See, this is why the companies don't want to put that burden on the stores and the dealers, because the dealers will just be like, we don't want your inventory. So that's going to be a huge burden right there to go and do all that on those stores.
But the thing is, licensed dealers aren't taking them. They're not really taking unserialized guns.
Right.
So, for example, the gun store that I go to, if you want to sell them one, you have to register it with the state yourself first. Then they can talk to you. They're not going through all that shit. They don't want no parts of that. So if I want to take, let's just say I got a P80 or something like that, I need to go serialize it, register it with the state of Maryland. Once it's registered with the state of Maryland, then I can go to those guys and I can sell my gun to them. Most gun stores don't want no parts of that in the first fucking place. That's another way they're misleading people. They're making it seem like these gun stores are just buying these guns willy-nilly and then selling them under the table and all this other bullshit.
Right. Which is complete BS.
Right. On top of that, like you said, you know, they're trying to, like, the ones that's in circulation, they want to start tracking. Like, I don't know how the fuck you going to do that. How? Like, who's volunteering that shit? Who's volunteering that information?
Nobody.
Most of the people buying these P80s are buying them just in case the government come for shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's the whole purpose of a lot of people buying these guns. They buying them like, man, just in case they come for everything. At least I got these off the books. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And people know it's only, you know, in some cases it's only a matter of time. And like I said, we keep scrolling down this fact sheet. We're going to see it right here underneath all this, but we'll get to it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to it. So let me see. For example, if an individual builds a firearm at home and then sells it to a pawnbroker or another federally licensed dealer, the dealer must put a serial number on the weapon before selling it to a customer. This requirement will apply regardless of how the firearm was made, meaning it includes ghost guns made from individual parts kits or by 3D printers. Okay, so
there you go.
That's exactly what Andrew just said. This rule builds on the Biden administration's prior executive action to rein in the proliferation of ghost guns. In February 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice launched a national ghost gun enforcement initiative. They did actually do that. A buddy of mine is a cop, and he was actually asked to be on that here for Maryland. Because you did have some people that were trying to mass produce them and sell them. They were fucking idiots.
That's just asking for it, and at a certain point, that's just asking for them to come down, and that's always been the case.
And most fucking gun stores are willing to say, yeah, some dude came in here and he bought like 10 of them bitches. You know what I mean?
Right.
They know like somebody coming in there, it's something different. Same thing with P80. Right. Somebody online tried to order 100 of these. You know, they know that if somebody's doing that, they're more likely trying to sell them. You know.
Right.
The Department of Justice launched a National Ghost Gun Enforcement Initiative, which is training a national, cadre of prosecutors, and disseminating, and disseminating investigation and prosecution. I swear, guys, I can read. I promise. Tools to help bring cases against those who use ghost guns to commit crimes. As President Biden said during an event at the New York Police Department headquarters, if you use a ghost gun to commit a crime, not only are state and local prosecutors going to come after you, but expect federal charges and federal prosecution as well.
So they're radicalizing the federal prosecutors, which are already, by the way, federal prosecutors already have giant egos. They're huge egomaniacs. Okay. But they're already they're telling them they have powers which they don't have constitutionally. So they're now literally telling lawyers you can do stuff. And these prosecutors are so gung-ho. They're so willing to prove themselves. They so want validation. They're going to do it. They're going to bring those charges. If they're told these are what we want, they're going to bring them.
Right.
So expect them to come. Like they're it's not whether they will, it's when.
Right.
And you know, when the first ones start coming for this. So
Yeah, Danielle, Soros lawyers. The Soros lawyers is coming.
Soros lawyers. Yep. That's right.
Yep. Additional executive action to reduce gun violence. Today's final rule includes additional actions to make our community safer.
Oh, man.
I wonder what that could be. First, the
Yeah.
final rule ensures that firearms with split receivers are subject to regulation requiring serial numbers and background checks when purchased from a licensed dealer, manufacturer, or importer. Decades ago, ATF used a regulation defining a frame or receiver of a firearm as the part that is regulated by the Gun Control Act, meaning that the part that the trigger's federalized serial number, background check, and other requirements. So, all right, AR 9mm.
Yeah.
I built this. This is registered with the state of Maryland. All right. What he's saying is this piece here. So if I, this piece right here, right? This piece
Yep.
is considered the firearm.
Yep.
2-part receiver, right? This piece is considered the firearm. They want to make it so that you also, apparently, if I'm reading it correctly, that you have to register this
Yep.
piece as well.
It's that, which is like ridiculous. I mean, like that's like saying you had to have a license plate for like the front half and the back half of your car, right? Like it's ridiculous. Like at what point does regulation become preposterous and too overly burdensome?
Right.
And there's a reason why, red tape, that was invented for essentially adding so much bureaucracy, adding so much layers that it's impossible to do stuff. India was famous for that under British colonial rule. They still have it, to this day. A lot of other countries have such intense regulations that even though you can legally do something, nobody does it because it's so difficult.
Right.
And this is where we're at. For example, like think about tax stamps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you can get a tax stamp to, get to have like a silencer, for example.
Right. You still
Like
got that.
technically, but you've got to put in the paperwork, you got to do the work. And the more hoops you add, the less people are willing to go through those hoops.
Exactly. Because the sexiness about the P80s is that you could just cash and carry and go home and finish it yourself.
Right.
Now, if you got a serial number on it, now it's less sexy. People not really going to want to buy them. You know what I mean? Why? Yep. Why am I going to go buy this serialized piece of plastic when I can just buy a regular fucking Glock?
Right.
And that's what they want. That's what they want. Same thing with, like you said, with silencers. It takes 7 months at minimum to get your silencer paperwork. If they give you the fucking paperwork, $200 tax stamp, you got to put in fingerprints and all this other shit, and then you got to wait for somebody to say it's okay, which takes at minimum 8 months. And I heard some people up to waiting up to I think like 16 months before they got their paperwork from the ATF saying that they can take their silencer home. That's what they want. They want to drag their feet on it so people don't want to do this shit. That's all it is. That's exactly what it is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what they want.
Yep, they want to remove that mystique. You know what I mean? Chris Rowland, the scariest phrase in history. We are the government and we're here to help. Facts.
For sure, 100% facts, Chris. 100%, man. That's so true. Because I mean, essentially, the only point of these extra regulations is to stop you, to keep it out of your hands. It's not to protect anybody. It's not going to protect anybody. It's not going to stop the crimes they think they're going to stop. Those people, those criminals that are going to commit them are still going to commit them. That guy who walked into that subway, I mean, glowiness aside, if he was really dedicated to doing that, he would do that. There's even other countries, like even here in Korea, there've been like Japan, there've been attacks in countries with no guns, right? Countries where people don't really own guns. There've been attacks that have the mass attacks that have killed hundreds, dozens of people. So it's very possible to do. Don't underestimate it. Doesn't matter whether it's whether there's guns are legalized or not.
Yeah. So it also says at the time, many firearms in the United States were single frame firearms like revolvers.
This is some bullshit. This is such huge amount of bullshit.
It is, man.
Saying like, oh, back in the day, we just had one single frame, but now we got this new technology. It's like literally the Second Amendment was made to be updated with technology. It was made so that the common citizenry could frankly have the latest military technology, could frankly be on par with the latest technology of the time.
Right.
Because otherwise, how are you going to maintain yourself and be able to defend yourself if you're using antiquated technology? If you've only got the single shot Derringer.
Right.
Like,
you know, it's all the way in the back behind my safe. Like I got a fucking black powder muzzle loader. I'm supposed to protect myself with that shit.
And Cannon, but I love that shit. Like for like hunting and like for like target shooting. I love that shit. But it's like you got to acknowledge, like motherfucker, if you got to load a musket, like you're so dead right now.
Exactly.
Like you are so dead.
You better have 6 muskets stationed somewhere strategically. Like in the fucking Patriot, you know what I mean? When they took out
I'm thinking of the Patriot too. Like you're running around on the muskets, one shot go. You know, come on, man. Come on.
So it says, like revolvers that house key components in a single structure. However, we have seen increasing popularity of firearms using split or multi-part receivers that house key components in multiple structures. So it's just like a fucking handgun with a slide on it, or like the AR where I showed you where the top and the low. It's so fucking arbitrary and it's retarded. They just want to they want you to serialize all this shit. They want to make it so that you don't even want to even try. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some courts have recently interpreted decades-old regulatory text in a way that, if broadly applied, could mean that as many as 90% of firearms in the United States today would not have a frame or receiver subject to a federal regulation. Yeah, because that's how it should. If you follow the fucking rules, not even the rules, the fucking Constitution, then yes.
Yeah.
But they don't want that. They want all that shit to be regulated. So they want your fucking slide and they want your frame serialized separately. So you need to have a background check for your lower and a background check for your upper. That's what they want. Well, the slide holds the firing pin, so that should be regulated. The slide hold, you know what I mean? Like that's what they want. That's what they want. You know what I mean? But man, the final rule updates the regulatory definition of frame and receiver to ensure that firearms using split or multi-part receivers continue to be covered by our common sense gun laws.
Common sense gun law. I love that fucking word. It's like, you mean your unconstitutional gun law. Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is the one thing that they already kind of doing anyway.
Yeah.
But the second, the final rule requires federally licensed firearm dealers to retain key records until they shut down their business or license activity. At that time, these dealers must transfer records to the ATF just as they are currently required to do at the end of license activity. Previously, these dealers were permitted to destroy most records after 20 years. That's a long fucking time. You know what I mean? Making it harder for law enforcement to trace firearms found at crime scenes. But what the fuck does that matter? So if somebody came in my house and stole a gun and went and committed a crime. Yeah. I'm gonna report my gun stolen, and then now you still fucking at square one.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Making it harder for law enforcement to trace firearms found at crime scenes. According to ATF National Tracing Center, on average, more than 1,300 firearms a year are untraceable because of federally licensed firearms dealers destroyed the relevant records that were more than 20 years old. But who else has the shit? Like, according to Maryland has our fucking paperwork, because every time I buy a handgun, Maryland's got my fucking paperwork. Most states... you gotta
they know what you're doing. Like the states know what you're doing. Don't pretend they don't know what you're doing.
Right.
They're following you, they're regulating you. Like they know.
Yeah.
They're watching.
So like now you're putting all the onus on the fucking the gun stores. I like how they're trying to,
which is just, once again, it's more burden. You know, you burden these businesses that are already making small margins, and you're trying to cut in their margin, cut in their time, make them go through more loopholes. It's making it less and less and less and less profitable to run those businesses until it's pretty much so difficult that only large major chains, which they can control easily, or nobody, right? It's like, essentially people just get out of it. They back out of it. This is how, by the way, this is the difference between capitalism and corporatism. Corporatism is supporting policies which promote these large, huge corporations and destroy small business. This is how you destroy your local gun shop.
Yes.
You make them jump through way too many holes, and they can't afford it. They don't have enough time. They literally don't have enough labor to be able to do this.
Right.
So they give up. This is why doctors were destroyed with Obamacare. A lot of small doctors, a lot of small offices, because they just couldn't do the paperwork. They said the regulation is too much. We can't do it.
Right. It's already it's already enough paperwork to keep up with when it comes to this.
Already.
You know.
Yeah.
Boy.
So
implementing the president's. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this is why I bring up, because a lot of the other lawyers, they focus like strictly on the law, but I'm a guy who's worked in business. I know how you kill a business, and I know how you attack a business, and I know what the impacts are. Because if there's high regulation in a business, and I've got a client or something, and they're trying to go into this sphere, a lot of times I'll even advise them. I'm like, are you sure you really want to go into this area because it's too highly regulated?
Right.
If they told me they wanted to go into anything involving aircraft, I'm like, are you sure you want to deal with the fucking FAA? Because they're going to be up your ass and around the corner. And like, I'm not sure you understand how difficult this is. So, yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. I think this is the final rule. Implementing the president's comprehensive gun crime reduction strategy, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Like I said in a tweet, I said, Joe Biden done rickrolled the shit out of everybody.
Yep.
This final rule is part of the president's comprehensive gun crime reduction strategy. President Biden made more progress on executive actions to reduce gun violence than any other president.
Stop right here. You know why? Because Article 1, Section 1 says Congress makes the fucking laws.
Exactly.
Not the president. Let's be clear. I've been waiting to get to this one. This is a good part that just puts it out here. The reason President Biden has done more is because he's done something that's unconstitutional that you literally can't do via separation of powers, motherfucker. President enforces law. Yes. Congress makes law. 101. That's fucking civics 101. Basic principles. And then of course the court interprets those laws, right? So if they disagree on what the interpretation is, send that to the court. We are getting so far outside of this with the president having to make laws. Why? Because Congress is too scared to do it. They also don't have a majority to do it. They also know it would be totally destroyed because no way you're getting Joe Manchin of West Virginia to vote on this shit because he'd be primaried immediately.
Yeah.
If he tried to do that shit.
Exactly.
In West Virginia.
He knows better.
So, and this is why. They know Congress can't pass it. They know they can't pass it.
And like I was telling somebody, I said what they're going to do is they're going to do this shit. And then while this shit is tied up in litigation and then fighting it, it's already on the books. And then people are going to have to follow these rules until they rule on it, until they make a decision on it. And that's like, it's like they know that. So they're like, all right.
They know that.
They just put it in anyway. And then by the time we get through all this court shit, the law did what it was supposed to do for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what I try to tell people all the time. Like, you got to watch for shit like that. They're the left, the liberals, the gun grabbers, they fight with plaster in their raps. You know what I mean? They don't play fair. You want fucking regulation gloves, and they fucking got fucking asbestos in they shit trying to blind you. It's ridiculous.
Man. It's insane.
So where was that? Okay, so you can read more about the administration whole of government approach to blah 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 whatever. President Biden's fiscal year 2023 budget calls on Congress to deliver the funding needed to implement the president's comprehensive strategy to reduce gun crime and make our communities safer. These additional resources will fund accountable policing, including putting more police officers on the beat and making essential investments in crime prevention and community violence intervention. Meanwhile, he ran on defund the police.
Right. Well, now he feels like he's got to do something on it, right? He feels like because this is a left issue, he's got to move on it.
Right.
But they've got an election coming up, and like I said, they're gonna reap the rewards of what they've been pushing out here over the last 2 years.
Right. Congress needs to do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. This goes back to the point. Congress needs to do its job. It's like, their job is to pass the laws. Like, this is not your job, bro. Like, it's their job. But it continues.
Right. Congress needs to do its job by passing this budget. Like, Jesus, fucking budget's out the window.
What he's trying to say, like, the budget is all they do. It's like, no. He's trying to kind of insinuate that he can change the law and Congress just is passing a budget. It's like, no, that just because that's all Congress has done for the past 8 years doesn't mean that that's all they can do or all they should do.
Right.
Just because Congress has been useless doesn't mean that that's their job. No, they just haven't been fucking doing their job for a very long time.
Just give me the money.
Yep. That's it.
Essential legislation to reduce gun crime, including legislation to require background checks for all gun sales, ensure that no terrorist can buy a weapon in the United States.
That's
already
so
a
ridiculous.
fucking law.
That's already a thing. You're retarded. Like literally, like if someone's on a fucking terrorist watch list, they're not buying a gun legally. What your issue is here is that you can have somebody buy a gun legally and then hand it to a terrorist. It's like, okay, yeah, like that's not a purchase though,
right,
bro.
I mean, the glow in the dark guy from fucking New York, he fucking purchased his shit legally, you know?
Right, illegally.
Right. You know what I mean?
Illegally, yeah.
No, he bought it legally.
He bought his gun legally.
Yeah.
He bought his gun legally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ban the sale of and possession of unserialized firearms. Ghost guns.
Then hold on, see what they throw. What do they throw in there right afterwards?
Where we at? Ban the possession and ban the sale and possession of unserialized firearms. So now it's like now they're trying to retroactively come get them.
Possession. Think about it. So they're not just trying to ban the sale, they want to ban the possession. This actually doesn't go that far. What he's saying is we're going to go further and we're going to take them out of your hands.
Exactly.
We're going to criminalize it.
Because they want to retroactively take them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no grandfather rule.
Shit, they're going to treat this harder than drugs, right? You know, like possession was never really the crime. It was really the sale. But now they're like, all right, we're going for possession we're treating guns worse than drugs.
Yeah,
right now,
it's going to be the new Biden crime bill right here. Coming soon.
Yep.
Ghost guns, ban assault weapons and high capacity magazines, and repeal.
There you go. Assault weapons, that word that doesn't mean jack shit. That word that means scary guns. Scary black gun bad.
Last I checked, every gun's a fucking assault weapon.
Yeah, it can be whatever their definition is, man.
This fucking mug could be an assault weapon.
Can you commit assault with it? It's an assault weapon then, you know?
Like I said in one of my videos, I could crack you over the head with a fucking broomstick. That is now an assault weapon. It's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
And
of course the last one they want to do, repeal the liability protection, which they're just trying to essentially be able to sue the companies into oblivion, which, you know, make them stop producing guns. So it's just different ways to attack it. They're trying to attack it from every angle now. They know they lost the direct battle against the Second Amendment. They have lost that. So now they're doing the collateral attacks. And the funny thing is the collateral attacks may end up being more effective.
Yeah. And that's the funny part.
Much more effective.
So many people are on board with this whole repeal the gun manufacturer's protection from liability, right?
Right.
So many.
Right. Too many people.
I'm like, dude. I said so when I don't know, somebody drunk drives in a fucking Ford Fiesta, should we go after Ford?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's preposterous. Like if you allowed them to be sued for those acts. It's out of control. Now, if the Ford was defective, that's fine. Like if the product is defective, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If there's product's liability, but like not for the act of shooting somebody with the weapon. Like it has to be actually defective. Like they went to the range, the gun exploded in their face.
Right.
Like that I'm okay with.
Right.
But like not with, because somebody used an AR, you can now sue, you know, whatever company that sold it or produced it. No way.
Right.
Cannon, I sent you another one on Twitter if you want to pull that up real quick. I'm just going to pop up the highlights, just the two highlights that I wanted to grab from that.
Yeah,
because that's the menu. So we went through the rule right now. So this is something they've moved the yardstick on ghost guns, but here's what's coming. These two next ones, which they said are coming like very, very shortly. So this is something to look forward to.
Okay.
Oh man, you're all green now.
Oh yeah, I'm getting ready to fix it. I don't know why it does that. Give me 1 second. There we go.
It's like that Hulk mode. You know?
So can you see it now?
Let's see. Let's just switch view here. You got it. It's up now.
All right, cool. All right, 1 second. All right, we're gonna go ahead and jump over here. All right, cool. All right.
When we scroll down, like just scroll down a little bit. So we're going to see, you know, this is an earlier statement. It's from April 7th, but, you know, it's telling us was on the menu 2 weeks ago, right? So the first thing is the ghost gun. So they said within 30 days of doing ghost guns, right?
Yeah.
So put a check mark next to that. So check, right? That was item number 1. All right, let's go down to item number 2. What's next? What's below? Read the bold part.
The Justice Department within 60 days will issue and propose a proposed rule to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short barrel rifle, subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act. Holy shit.
There we go, man. There we go. So that's what's on the menu right now. They told you. They're telling you what they're telling you. Just nobody's paying attention to this stuff, or very few people.
They telegraph their punches. They're telegraphing their punches.
Yeah.
And for you guys that don't know what they're talking about, right? So the gun I showed you just now. According to the ATF, this is considered a pistol, not a short barrel rifle, a pistol. This isn't a stock. This is a pistol brace. This is hollowed out. I can attach this to my forearm and I can shoot this one-handed. That's why it's called a pistol brace, stabilizing brace. They want to make this stabilizing brace that the same as having a regular ass stock on your rifle, because according to the ATF right now, as long you can have this. This was okay for the company SB Tactical to make by ATF. As long as I don't shoulder it, I can keep it here. And I can shoot from the cheek. As long as I don't intentionally, I don't intentionally shoulder this gun. All right? So now they want to get rid of these, and they want to regulate these as short barrel rifles. And I think we went over it on your channel where they had that fucking checklist.
Yes, the fucking checklist on what it is. That was ridiculous, man. That was ridiculous. It was like the checklist where like essentially you're gonna get enough points no matter what. Like it's gonna qualify no matter what as a short barrel rifle.
Exactly.
It was like the checklist where like you're kind of fucked no matter what. You're right. Automatically gonna fail the test. Catch 22.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. You're automatically gonna fail the test.
But here's the danger. But once again, like I said, they're using one incident to justify it. They say because the Boulder tragedy, the shooter there appeared to have used a pistol with an arm brace, and that makes it more stable and accurate while being concealable. If you look at the facts of that case, whether or not he was using an arm brace had nothing to do with that incident
at all
in Boulder. At all. He busted through the back door. It doesn't matter whether he was using a brace or whatever. It didn't need to be concealable. He wasn't trying to conceal himself.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
We got Hotep Jesus in the building. What up, Hotep Jesus?
Yeah, shout out to Hotep Jesus. Got the Hotep family up in here. Good to see you, brother.
What up, P-Dog?
He's always supporting the 2A here, and I love that. In the next one you got up here, you got the next bold one, just this red one right here. I think this is the second one I want to cover. The other stuff in this page is bullshit, but go ahead and read that right there. The bold.
The Justice Department within 60 days will publish model red flag legislation for the state. That's some scary shit right there.
This is it, guys. Red flag laws. Reading it again. Red flag laws allow family members or law enforcement to petition for a court order. And mind you, this is what they're not saying. Petition for a court order without you there, with no representation, with no due process, barring you from access to firearms. By the way, see that word temporary? That's bullshit. It's permanent if they want it to be.
Exactly.
If they want it to be.
Exactly.
And all they have to show is you present a danger to yourself or others. The threshold for that is so low. We've seen what they believe danger means. Danger is a new code word you should watch out for. Social media uses danger to ban people off for medical misinformation, what they call that. Remember the election?
Mm-hmm.
Remember the election misinformation?
Yes.
That was danger too. They're gonna think about it. They're gonna be able to go to the court and say, oh, this guy's spreading awful information about the beer bug. We got to be able to take his guns because he's a danger to himself or others.
Right.
That danger doesn't have to be related to the firearm. Just in general, if they consider you a danger, they're going to be able to take your guns.
Yep. Like I said, on some Minority Report shit, some pre-crime.
Yep. This is the exact thing that they're going to get you. Like Minority Report, like you're saying, this is where we're at. And this is what President Biden, he's urging Congress to pass a national red flag law and legislations incentivizing states to pass it, which means trying to force them to do it through the budget, which is what they did for drinking and driving, which is what they try to do for Obamacare. They say carrot and stick. If you're taking funding for X, you got to do Y, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to say, oh, you're taking federal funding for whatever, right? Highways. Okay, well, highways, people drive on highways and they sometimes have guns. Okay, so you got to pass a red flag law because that's going to protect people on highways. That's the like string of logic they allow, right?
That Olympic
this is totally should not be. It should not be constitutional. They fucked up by allowing this for drinking laws and national drinking age. They fucked up with this decision. I think it was South Dakota versus Dole. It was a horrible decision. I think it should be repealed. But that's another subject. But because they've allowed this logic, these logical chains are allowing them to use the purse strings to manipulate these states. And guys, some of these red states, they'll just fall. Like the Mitch McConnells of the world, those rhinos, like they're not out there really supporting your rights. They're just giving it lip service and they're slowing it down. This is why on a national level, we got to fight this and we got to push back. And we got to get the word out of here about these type of things because this is how they defeat the 2A. They don't do it directly. They do it through these laws.
You're 100% right. So a few years ago here in Maryland, Severna Park, not far from where I live at, lady basically told on her, I guess it was her cousin or somebody, a family member. She went to the police and said he's not stable. He has a bunch of guns in his house. Blah, 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 blah. Police show up at his house. Next thing you know, he wouldn't let the police in. There's a fucking standoff, which ultimately ended up with this guy being shot and killed by the police. Come to find out, the family member was just being a fucking Karen. And, you know, well, he kept talking about all these guns he had. He didn't seem stable.
Yep.
And she went to the police about it, and she essentially got
because
her
she was
family member
afraid
killed
of guns.
Because she was afraid of guns, and got her family member killed. You know what I mean? He was like, "No, I'm not giving you anything. Like, what is this for? Why are you here?" They came to confiscate his shit, and he said no. Next thing you know, there's a standoff, and he's not here no more. He's what Patrice O'Neal say. He's no longer with us. Long before he was supposed to be no longer with us.
Yep. And shout out to Patrice O'Neal, man. That guy's a fucking G.
He was a guy.
Yeah. And it's like Chris said it in the chat when we talked about too, the Karen 911. Just one single psych eval, one single Karen 911. That's all it takes. And that's the problem. That's where we got to go. Like, that's why I think this is the fight that I've been trying to get out there and trying to get people to pay attention to. If I can talk about one thing and make that my issue, it would be red flag laws, because I think this is how they do it. It's not going to be, you know, they'll try to ticky-tacky with the ghost guns and the braces and stuff like that with the assault weapon. One or two types of guns they're going to ban. But that's how they do it comprehensively. And they do it through the law enforcement, which they've now co-opted. Yeah. Law enforcement does not have your best interest in mind. You know, I'm the one who, like, guys, these Blue Lives Matter people that are simping for the cops no matter what. It's like, you got to really think after Corona, are they really going to stop from coming to your house? No. In fact, the laws say, by the way, for liability for police officers, if they're told about a crime, they have a duty to investigate it. Or they can be civilly liable. So they say, you know what? Because they can sue us, because the courts have given them ability to sue us if we're not investigating stuff. Now we have to go do it. So we 100% are going to do it.
Exactly. You know, and I mean, it's so authoritarian. You know what I mean? And it's here. It's coming down the pipe. They want that. That's how you get guns out. That's social credit. That's another form of social credit. Yep. You know what I mean? Dude, did you hear what he said on YouTube? Oh my gosh, did you see his guns behind him? And his,
exactly. No, you're in big trouble, brother. You're on YouTube, man. You're on YouTube.
Right.
You said something controversial they could use against you. Trust me. You said something.
We need to pay him a visit. Right, exactly. They're gonna go back. Look what they did with the guy in New York.
Yep.
You know? Oh, look at his YouTube channel. I'm like, holy shit. Like I don't know. Speaking of that, what you think about that whole situation? What's your thoughts?
About New York, about the New York guy? Yeah. I mean, I need to do more research into it, but I mean, I was just at the first, like, taken aback by how hard they tried to hide the race card, how hard they tried to, play down the fact that, played down some of his connections, played down some of the stuff, and also trying to make it coordinated with the ghost guns, rule passing. I mean, the media tried to hem that in there.
Yeah, they did.
When it wasn't even related, but they literally used that in almost all the articles. They're like, this shooting comes at a time when the Biden administration wants to crack down, so it's just showing we need this legislation. And I'm like, this is just, I don't know, man. I need to do more research on it, but it kind of glows a little bit, and I'm not and it also is a little odd. It's just the whole situation is a little odd.
Yeah, it's definitely odd. I mean, the inconsistencies that came out, the things that happened that went down was a bit odd. You know, I mean, he shot 33 shots and he only hit 10 people in the leg. You know what I mean? I'm like, where those other shots land? Nobody else was injured. Like, I know that the training bulletproof. None of those shots went through that car. Nobody else got hit. No one got killed. Then
that's a weird.
Where the fuck do you get smoke bombs? Like, where do you get? Like,
he's a fucking ninja. Like, he's trying to be like Naruto over here. Like smoke bomb. I'm out of here. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, who's like what?
I was like, I don't even know where to get smoke grenades from. You know, and then they kept saying he was some guy that was supposedly 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", 185 pounds. Meanwhile, he's fucking some tall old man, heavy set old man. And then it's like,
it's weird. That's weird, right? That part is weird. Like, and he was able to run up like the stairs. I'm like, I don't think this guy's running too fast.
Right.
Like,
Nobody.
Like, I think he's like running to the Krispy Kreme. Like, I don't mean, he's not. This guy's like does not look like he's in the peak fitness, and like how the fuck is he getting away again? I'm just not sure.
Right. He had a gas. He said he had a gas mask on, and then I'm sitting there like,
I mean,
it wasn't a gas mask.
Okay, so I used to play like paintball, right? And I know there's like smoke grenades you can buy for paintball and airsoft. Like I bought like some of the colored ones for paintball before. Not like so I'm sure like there's ability to buy some sort of like smoke. But I haven't tried to do it like a clear colored one. I use like a yellow colored one.
Yeah, no. Apparently this was black
I did a
smoke.
really cool one where I was actually like the really cool paintball event in Oklahoma. It's called like Oklahoma D-Day.
Okay.
Where you reenact like the landing at D-Day. It was actually really fucking cool. I was on, but you get drafted. I was on the German side because they have to balance it out, right? So I'm like, oh man, I'm the Nazi on this one. This is a little weird, but all right, let's do it. Let's kill some allies.
I just didn't.
It was fun.
I mean, I don't even understand. I'm just sitting there, so nobody got killed. I said he left everything, dude. He left the gun. He left the magazines. He left his credit card. He left the fucking key to the U-Haul.
Yeah, it's too weird, man. It's like these facts are really weird. Like I'm really like needing to get more of them and put this together because I feel like this is a story that we need to follow up on because it's so odd. And then to have the YouTube channel and also here's the other thing too, the YouTube channel, I checked it like a couple days ago, it was still up. Like maybe it's taken down by now, but like if they usually take these things down like ASAP,
right. Like
YouTube like jumps on it and nukes it. So why were they leaving it up so long? Like, I don't know, man. And
then they're still calling him just a person of interest. They're not saying this. They're not even calling him a suspect yet.
That's weird, man. This is all weird.
You know, it's so weird. I was like, so we got a fucking Muhammad Atta passport situation going on here. Pristine passport situation. We got a fucking magic bullet situation where they found a pristine bullet. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you leave everything that can lead back to you. Then you don't even leave the city. They find you at a fucking McDonald's. Like,
that's weird, man.
And the cameras.
So you're getting your Big Mac, like, you know, in Queens, and you're like, yo, you know, you can come with us, buddy.
It's just crazy. It was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand. It just don't make sense, and it glows in the dark. It glows all the way in the dark to me. And it just so happened to happen not even 24 hours after Biden makes his statement. You know, after Biden. A little bit weird. Like I'm saying, that's what I was like. This timing with the ghost guns regulation, I was like, I knew when this happened. I was like, this is a little weird, man. Yeah, this is a little weird. Like, they try to justify everything too. So I wouldn't be surprised even if it wasn't directly linked, if they were just trying to horseshoe it, to tie it in. But it's too weird though. I mean, at this point, the facts are getting really weird. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to stay tuned to this next week. I've been covering the Johnny Depp Amber Heard shit, but I'll be covering other topics that are coming up, and I'll be doing a lot of streams next week and the week after that. I'll be in Miami. I'll be in Florida between the 25th and the 6th. Then I'm going to be in there the 6th of May, so 25th of April to 6th of May. And then I'll be down and I'll be on probably be on Fresh and Fit while I'm down there. I'll spoil that. I'm gonna leak that out there right now. So that'll be funny with some nice conversation.
But then I'll be back in the U.S. on the 25th as well. So I look forward to going shooting, seeing my guns again, and exercising my 2A rights while I'm back in the U.S.
I hear that. Hey, before you get out of here, I just want. Did you see the video of him trying to shake the air?
Play it. Like full size and play it.
Hold on.
He's well, hold on. Play it. He's fucking lost.
God bless you all.
What the? Everybody's laughing at him right now. Like literally, like they're clapping. They're trying to help him. Like, is he lost? What does he need to do? He's got his head down. Like, oh, I did something bad.
But the funny part is that he was stuck. Like he was stuck. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do, which had me crying, laughing. You know,
Kamala should have like come up there and like grabbed him and like brought him off. You know, where is she at? That's her job, right?
You need a handler standing there with him, like they had with old Hillary when she was having her fucking strokes or whatever the fuck she was having during the fucking presidential run or whatever she was doing. Like that shit is crazy. Like now it's just elders. It's elders abuse. It's elder abuse at this point in time now.
It is elder abuse. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like this guy clearly like needs to be in a home on medication, like with somebody who's watching him. Like, I mean, seriously, this is not, and this is the leader of the, I don't say leader of the free world, but he's a guy who's got a bunch of nukes in his pocket. They're
propping him up weekend at Bernie style is what I like to say.
It really is, man. So subscribe. So I'll pimp your channel. Subscribe to Canon Hotep. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you ding that bell if the notifications aren't there. Make sure if you like this content, if you like my conversations, you can come over here to Legal Mindset, my channel, which is Legal Mindset. I'm the Legal Mindset on Twitter. Do not follow Legal Mindset. That's some clout chasing chick who tried to steal my name, but it is not me. I am the Legal Mindset on Twitter.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Taking time out your schedule.
Anytime, bro. So anytime, man. I love having fun with you and having conversations. We always have a good conversation. Like, and you know what you're talking about. So like, even a lot of details that like even me as a like gun owner, I don't know some of the differences that you can articulate and explain in a way that's much better than I can. I'm like, I know how to shoot. That's what I know to do. I know to clean my guns. I know to shoot. That's all I got. But you got much more of the technical language, much more of the knowledge. And you're much more strapped than I am. Definitely here in South Korea where I'm unstrapped. But I appreciate it, man. I really do. And I always have fun.
I appreciate you. And living in a shitty state like Maryland, you got to know your laws, man, or you'll get hemmed up quick.
Yep. Everybody should know the laws. And one thing is that the police do not have the best interests of you, in heart in any aspect, especially not in the 2A. So know your laws better than the cops when it comes to the 2A.
Exactly. So for Andrew Esquire, Canon Hotep saying, stay safe, stay well, stay strapped. Always know your laws in your states, folks. And watch out for the glowy moments. We all at you.
For sure.